Welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Mann. Join me for conversations about possibilities and tools for having more joy, more play, and way more of you. What would it be like to wake up every day with a wild enthusiasm for living? Hello and welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Mann, and today we'll be talking about everyone's favorite topic, money. And if you know anybody in your life that this conversation would contribute to, please go ahead and share this with them. So, this is really about money, overflow, abundance, and how to have more ease with money. And this is a topic that I have studied and read books on and taken classes on, and since led workshops on and done different podcasts on, because this topic is so up in everyone's world so much of the time. And it's probably the thing that we judge the most about ourselves and our world and our success level, and you name it. We find 100 ways to judge money and our relationship with it. And I will tell you that money is a topic that I hated talking about for a very, 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 very long time. And that growing up, my parents fought a lot about money. That was the primary argument in my household. So, as an adult, when people would bring up the topic about money, investments, about how to have more money or not having enough money, anything on that topic, I would feel like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I was so uncomfortable. And I would find a reason to get up and leave the table or whatever situation I was in where this conversation was being had. And it wasn't until years after that where I was like, something has to change, something has to give. Obviously, I have an issue here. And that resistance to the topic of money is creating a block in my money flows. So, when I first started learning about metaphysics and spiritual things and all of that, one of the biggest topics that I studied was the energy of money and what it meant to have money and what are the things that tend to block us the most from having the money that we really desire to have, that would ultimately create a greater world for ourselves and for other people in our lives. And one of the things that I learned first was that a block in money was really a unwillingness to receive. That if we don't think that we are worthy, if we don't think um, that we're good enough to have money, that if we don't want to receive from other people or receive in general, then we won't allow ourselves to have money. And I thought receiving really meant about receiving money. But I realized that receiving is about so many different things. It's when somebody says, "Hey, let me get that coffee for you." And you're like, "No, no, I got it." That's an unwillingness to receive. When somebody is like, "Hey, let me give you a ride to this event tonight." And you're like, "No, no, no, I'll drive myself." Also, an unwillingness to receive. And it's the same energy as if somebody goes to give you a gift and you're like, "Oh, I don't want that." That doesn't feel it doesn't feel good for you, and it doesn't feel good for that person. And so what I had to learn is that receiving from other people is not the same energy as taking from other people. Somebody is offering you something, and if you reject it, you're rejecting receiving. And that directly correlates to how you are with money. So if somebody gives you a compliment and you're like, "Oh, this whole thing," and you won't receive that, that all has to do with rejecting the energy of receiving anything, but also the energy of receiving money. So when I got that, I started looking through my life and I started looking at all the places that I was unwilling to receive, all the places that I tried to do everything for myself or wouldn't Even take a compliment that I was always sort of pushing off that receiving energy. And a lot of us are taught this just by watching other people in our lives or believing that receiving is selfish. But instead, when I understood that if somebody goes to give you a gift and you wouldn't say no thank you, that was the same energy as refusing to receive, which ultimately had nothing to do with being selfish. In if anything, it was more about gifting and receiving, because even the person offering you something is also receiving that energy of that feel good, I've contributed to this person's life energy that we so often reject. So start with that. If you're looking to change your money, start to look at where are you refusing to receive? Where are you pushing off receiving or not receiving energy, gifts, compliments, anything that's offered to you in your life? And start to just change that. If you change one thing today in order to have more ease with money, start just noticing where you're not receiving with ease and start to saying thank you and actually receiving the thing being offered to you. Beyond that, that is sort of the beginning of our belief systems. We have so many beliefs around money, probably more than almost anything else. If you ask people what are their beliefs around money, and I would ask this of you too, is just write down money is on a piece of paper and see all the things that start filtering through. If you're not trying to hold back and you're just like free writing out all the things that money is to you, see how many points of view you actually have around money. And also, people who have money are, or rich people are, however you want to do that, and see all those things that come up for you. Because a lot of us were taught that money was the root of all evil, or money is, if you have money, you're greedy, or that in my case, that money is the source of conflict. And then it creates this ick in our gut around money, and we subconsciously push it away because we have these beliefs that we're functioning from that are in the way of us actually having money in our life, because the idea of it, we've made meaning that it means something negative about ourselves, about our life, about what it will create for us. So go through and write down all your beliefs around money and see what comes up for you, because you might be really surprised at how many beliefs you actually have. And then go through those beliefs and be like, is any of this mine? Are these my parents' beliefs? Are these my friends' beliefs? Were these my teachers, other people in my life as I was growing up? Where did these even come from? And start to acknowledge that these aren't usually your belief systems. These are things that were embedded from the time you were a little kid. Sometimes they're even pre-verbal. They're things before you had words, but you were always aware of energies. So if there was a lot of lack in your house, you would pick up on that energy, and that still becomes part of your belief system. Or if there was somebody in your life who was always feeling that scarcity mindset, feeling like there was never enough, you might have picked up on that also and believed that that was actually yours, until you look at it and be like, oh, never mind, that was actually my dad's, or that was actually from my aunt that was around all the time and she would always talk about money. Wherever that comes up for you, acknowledge that those are not even yours, and then start to rewire your brain around them. It's because these are neural pathways that we have created that have been reinforced and reinforced by our own words, by our own beliefs, by other people. Our reticular activating system is always looking for things in our field, in our world, um, that confirm our point of view. So if you already think that rich people are jerks, then you're going to start looking for that subconsciously everywhere in your world. And so you're going to say, well, I have evidence of that because I've seen all these rich people be mean. And while that might be true and those people do exist, you might not be seeing all the kind people with money, all the people who are wanting to contribute to the world with their money, because you're only looking at it from one belief system. So instead, start affirming that, oh, I can have an abundance of money. I have money flowing into me, into my world all the time. There is plenty of money for everyone. And as you change your beliefs, they will start to change your reaction to money, the way your nervous system reacts around money. And it starts with rehearsal. The more you say positive things about money, the more you start to rehearse that I have abundance in my life. Money flows to me with ease. There is enough money for myself and everyone. It will start to rewire those neural pathways in your brain, and it starts to become easier to receive and to allow more money into your world. One of the things I've been really playing with lately is this energy of overflow. And as I've played with changing my belief systems, I've been playing with adding in, I have more than enough money. I have an overflow. I have an overabundance of money. I have more than enough to pay my bills, to pay for all the things I'd like to have. And the money is always showing up. My income is constantly increasing. Those are some of the things that I've been really playing in and saying to myself lately. And pick what resonates for you. This doesn't have to be words that I'm saying. They might be something that you saw somewhere about abundance or overflow or always having enough money. Whatever that is for you, find little places in your life to put some of these affirmations, whether it's the background on your phone or whether it's your dashboard of your car or your mirror in your bathroom where you brush your teeth or get ready in the morning, so that you're always seeing these messages, because that's how you start to rewire your brain towards abundance and towards a more regulated nervous system when it comes to money. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, about having money and getting the energy of having money and it being safe to have money. That might even be an affirmation you add, is it is safe for me to have more than enough money in my life. And over time, it starts to change it. So one of the things I've focused on as I talk about affirmations is words. What are the words that I'm saying about money? What are the words that are coming out of my mouth? And what are the words that are in my head? What are my thoughts around money? And to start to catch all the places that you do scarcity, that you do lack, and to start to change it to something different. So I might notice where I start to say, I don't have the money for that, or I can't afford that, or someday I'll have the money for that. But anywhere that you're doing, I don't have, I can't afford it, or a someday, anywhere you're putting it out in front of you, that's where it always stays, is out in front of you. It's that carrot and the stick thing where it's always in front of you and you never actually have it because you're putting it out somewhere in the future. Anywhere that you say, I don't have the money, the universe says, okay, your wish is my command. I guess you don't have the money. That's not the energy of bringing energy and bringing money into your world. Anywhere you're saying, I can't afford it, same thing. The universe will always reflect back to you what you're putting out. So if you're using words of, I don't have, I can't afford, that's what the universe is going to reflect back to you. Also, the word want. Want means to lack. So if you're like, I want more money, I want a better job, I want to be able to afford this upcoming vacation, anywhere you're saying want, you're actually saying lack. The word want means to lack. And we've sort of changed it over the years, but the original meaning and the original energy of want means to lack. So notice where you're saying these things. And in the moment, don't make yourself wrong. Don't judge yourself. Just catch it and be like, oh, let me change that. I'm creating the money. The money is already on its way. I have an abundance of money flowing into my life all the time. Whatever you need to do in that moment, but change it. And even if it feels like, oh, this doesn't feel true for me, or I don't believe it yet, remind yourself that in some timeline, in some reality, it already exists. Somewhere in the quantum field, you do have the money that you're asking for, that you know is possible. So it isn't that it doesn't exist, it's that you are becoming vibrationally congruent with money as you say those things. And as you become vibrationally congruent with money, that's how you actually jump timelines or quantum leap to the reality where you already have the money, where you already have the overflow, where you already have the abundance that you're asking for. So the more that you affirm that you have these things, the more that you relax around the idea of having money, the more you bring money into your life, you start receiving more, you start enjoying money in your life more, then you start to be a vibrational match for money. And it shows up with ease. Essentially, you're moving timelines, you're quantum leaping to that space where all of that already exists. So listen to your words. and start to change them and start to make them more congruent with what you're asking for, with what you'd like to have, rather than where you think you're lacking. So, a couple things I've done over the years to feel like I have more money in my world. First of all, I started carrying cash. And every time I stop carrying cash, I sort of forget for a while. I use all the cash in my wallet. I can feel a dip in my money reality and my money world and what's coming in. And every time I start doing again, I'm like, oh yeah, I have money. And that's the idea of carrying cash, is that you know you have money. So I usually try to carry a few $100s, 500, 600, somewhere like that for me, because I think about how much money do I perceive somebody who has money? How much money are they carrying on them at all times? It might be different for you. For some people, they want to carry $1,000. For me, my wallet gets too bulky at that level. So I'm always like, how much can I have everything that in it that when I open it, I feel like I have money and it's not a nuisance. And for a long time, I carried a gold coin. I stopped doing that at some point, but I might pick it back up again. So whatever resonates with you, so that when you open your wallet to pay for something, you're like, yes, I have money. And carry 20s and other cash too that you're spending more regularly, like where you're actually spending cash instead of swiping a card all the time. Having that money in your hand gives you the energy of having money. And for a lot of people, it's more tangible than seeing it on a screen. I don't suggest carrying all your money in cash because you want to sort of spread things out a bit, but whatever works for you. But as you budget for the week, as you figure out how much do I need for groceries, how much do I need for things, whatever, put that amount of money in cash in your wallet so that you start paying in cash. And then you also see those hundreds sitting there. And that's how you train yourself to know, like, okay, I actually have money. I see the money in my wallet. I have money. And then you relax around it and you stop doing this lack thing. Because the more lack you do, the more scarcity you do, the universe feels that energy, and that keeps you incongruent with being the energy of money. So, on top of that, I long ago created a separate bank account in my business and in my life that is for an honoring of me, honoring of my business. And I put 10% of everything that comes in into that account. And so as insurance pays me, or, different events pay me, different things I do pay me, every time I get paid from some way, shape, or form, I look at, okay, what is 10% of that? And I put it in a separate account. As it turns out, we can live on 90% pretty well. We will always adapt, except that now we're letting this 10% account grow and grow and grow. And we're seeing that account number every time we open up our bank statement. And again, it's just like opening your wallet. Only now you're opening your bank statement and you're seeing, I have money. That account is growing. Ideally, you don't spend this account. If you're going to spend it on something of intrinsic value, something that adds value to your life. So for me, I will buy gold, silver, diamonds, jewels here and there because I love jewelry. That's just like a me thing. And it has intrinsic value. So I know that if I wanted to sell any of those things back, I would get my money back and probably more as the value of silver and gold increases. So people have asked, can you do things for your house or things like that? If it adds value to your house and it adds value to your life, I have done that and I have found that it does not create a negative thing. Don't use this to pay bills. Don't use this to pay, to buy something because you want it, to buy clothes or something like that. Like all of those things, like it doesn't have the same energy. Anything that depletes over time, or like loses value, it loses that energy of the feeling of having money. So always think about that. If I'm going to spend this amount of money from my 10% account, does it still contribute to the feeling of having money? And if it doesn't, or if, a week or two from now it won't, then no, don't use it on that. But ideally, if you can, try not to spend it much at all. Because the idea is that you want to see that account grow and grow and grow and get bigger and bigger. Because again, that's when you start to relax. And that's when you know that having money is possible and part of your reality. And it becomes safer to have money. And if you get tempted to spend the money, if you get tempted to like, oh, but I just really need this thing, or I really need to pay this bill off, or whatever that is, Remind yourself it is safe for me to have money. It is safe for me to have money in my reality. It is safe for me to have a full bank account, because a lot of us weren't taught that. We were raised in environments in chaos. We were raised in instability, things like that, where instability, chaos, lack feel like home. So we recreate that in our life. So we have to teach ourselves it is safe for me to have money. And whatever else you need to do to feel safe, whether it's like a butterfly tap, or you like cross your arms across your chest and you tap your shoulders one at a time lightly. If it's taking some deep breaths, maybe you do some meditating or some EFT tapping on it, whatever that is for you to regulate your nervous system in the moment. But do some things. If you start to have that, like, almost panic or anxiety or like this uncontrollable urge to spend your money, this is where that it's safe for me to have money needs to be re-imprinted into your life and into your reality. And one of the things I've been playing with lately is actually when I go into lack or when I go into the not enough space, instead of trying to hold tighter, I go, where can I give today? What organization, what person, who can I contribute to? Can I actually give money away? And I found that that changes something, because it also rewires your brain to go, I have enough money to give to other people. I have enough money to contribute to the world. And it also shows the universe that, like, when I have money, when I feel that it's safe to have money, not only will I contribute to myself, my life, my family, but I will also contribute to the world. And I found various organizations, things that are important to me that I really care about. And this doesn't mean you have to make $1,000 donation. This is, I'm going to look up this organization and I'm going to make a $20 donation. Or you know that somebody in your life has been struggling and you send them $50 for no reason. This isn't about, it isn't about the amount of money. It's about knowing that you have enough money that you can also contribute to the world. And that creates something different in your body, in your heart, where you feel like, yes, I am a contribution and I feel good about what I can do. But as soon as we're like, nope, I don't have the money to give to anybody else, I got to hold on to everything really tightly, you're negating that feeling of like, no, I know that I'm going to be fine. I know that I am safe and supported and that the universe has my back. And that's actually the last thing I want to talk about was co-creating with the universe, co-creating with source, spirit, God, whatever you feel connected to as a higher power. And it can truly just be the universe. If you're like, no, I don't want to do the God thing, totally fine. But whatever you're connected to is something greater. For so long, I tried to do this autonomy thing where I tried to do everything by myself and it was going to prove that I was the source for my life and that's the only thing that there was. And it worked to a degree. And then I hit a ceiling. And I think I talked about this on another podcast of co-creating with the universe, of like when I realized that I was always going to hit a ceiling as long as I was trying to do it all by myself. That's when I was like, oh, I am missing a vital piece here, and that I am not alone on this planet. I actually can co-create with the universe, with source, with spirit. And I can say, okay, spirit, where would you lead me? Where would you have me use my gifts? Where would you have me be the greatest contribution? And when I changed that, when I started really focusing on my heart space and focusing on, if it wasn't about the money at all, what can I be in the world that would be a contribution? I found out that those are the things that light me up the most. Those are the things that create the most joy in my life. And I stopped doing lack. I stopped going, how much money am I going to make from this? I stopped calculating, if I have this many people in this class or this many people in this workshop, how much am I going to make? I didn't care anymore because I just wanted to do it because it was fun for me and I enjoyed it. But that's how I knew I was in alignment. And then the money just started to flow in with ease. Sometimes it was in an expected place, and sometimes it was from totally random, unexpected places because I got congruent and I was willing to be in alignment with my actual purpose and what was actually fun for me. And the money didn't matter so much anymore. It stopped being about that. It started to be about the joy and the joy of being all of me. And that's when the money really started to show up. But that came from co-creating with spirit. That came from co-creating with the universe and saying, hey, show me where I can be the greatest contribution and also include me in it. But I am including me because I'm acknowledging that where I'm supposed to be, where I'm supposed to contribute, are the things that are the most joyful for me, if that makes sense. So, as you're doing all of these things, as you're teaching yourself, it is safe to have money, and you start to actually have money, see that you have money. Also, take into account that as you're looking for how to create money, where to create money, that you can and will very likely feel so much greater and more expanded as you co-create with something even greater outside of you. So I hope this was a contribution to you. I could talk about this stuff forever. These are sort of like my key tools that I can put into a podcast for money, and money and growth and abundance and all of the things. So if you enjoyed this, please give this podcast a 5-star review and share it with your friends. And I am so grateful to be here with you. I will see you next time, and have a beautiful, amazing day. Bye-bye.